Hello and welcome to a Monday night game here, almost live from Goyang. My name's Stevie W and we're here in the Goyang Stadium to give you the very first almost live edition of the 48 Shades of Football podcast. I'm joined tonight by Paul on my right. Is it true that you've changed your name? You've got a new Korean name now? O'Deal, I think, is your new name?
No comment. No comment. I have got a new team, as you'll note by the clothes I'm wearing.
Yeah, you've decided to adopt a different side for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's my Man City shirt from Tongdaemun.
Ah, yes.
Wearing a Daegu top and a Goyang end, pal. Nothing escapes me anymore.
You're quite lucky that there's only, 85 people here to watch the match tonight. Otherwise there might be, and the other 81 are under the age of 10.
I'm trying the football equivalent of suicide by cop.
You've given up football, you thought you're just going to get a banning order from every K-League ground.
We're halfway there already.
Yeah. It wasn't me that was throwing objects on the pitch on Saturday, but I might consider it if Seoul performances keep going the way they have been recently.
I hope that wasn't you casting aspersions at Mark's behaviour at the game at the weekend there. It wasn't him either, shockingly.
Yeah, well,
I couldn't get down to the front of the stadium to do it, to be perfectly honest. I don't think my legs would actually take me down those stairs and back up again.
Well, yeah.
But the less said about Saturday the better, yeah.
Mark and me went to watch the Super Match on Saturday, and as it turned out there were 12 people missing from the Seoul side. The 11 Seoul players for all of the match, and Mark for most of the second half after he disappeared, so...
Yeah,
I was a bit worried about him, but he's turned up tonight, so I assume that it all went well.
I think a 3-1, that was enough. I think I had seen enough when the third goal hit the net, so yeah, it was time to leave.
But presumably you sort of cheered up yesterday when you went to watch the strong Celtic side in the FA Cup semi-final.
Let's move on. Right now I hate football, to be perfectly honest. And now I'm here in Goyang on a Monday night, yeah. Speaking of a good weekend of football, I'm joined on my right with Stevie, by Stevie even. Stevie has now seen his team draw 3 times, I think.
Yep.
We're now in 4 draws, something like that.
3 draws out of 4.
That's not bad, yeah.
Do you count Martin Rennie's red card? Then it's also 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I think so as well. So it's every single game they've had a draw and they've had a red card, yeah. But I guess Eland are still undefeated in the league, yeah?
No, because they lost to Sanju.
So they did. That's a shame, Steve.
Which we'll talk about later.
So you have to admit that, yeah?
Although they did almost draw that.
We've never been beaten with 11 men on the field.
That's a plus.
That's the kind of stat that Opta would drag out, right?
Yes. That's the straws being clutched at. Okay, so I guess coming up tonight we'll be reviewing the 2 rounds of fixtures from the K-League Classic, 2 rounds of fixtures from the K-League Challenge, talking about whatever amazing action we see in front of us tonight here at Goyang, where Goyang are taking on Daegu. It's currently 0-0 with we're about halfway through the first half. Goyang have had a couple of chances, but there hasn't been too much to report. Other than that, guys, I guess we'll move on to talking about the Classic games.
Yeah, I guess it's up first, yeah.
So I guess we'll leave the big news till last, and we'll let Paul and Mark rant about that game in Suwon. But before we do that, we should maybe look at some of the other stories. I guess Chonbuk still top of the league, opened up a bit of a gap on everybody else. So was it two victories for them in the 2 rounds of matches?
2 out of 2. They've now won. They're now undefeated in 20-something games.
It's 2023, isn't it? Or 23 or 22?
Yeah. I think they're I mean they've got a 5-point gap now at the top. 5 points over Suwon. Got to imagine that gap's going to be getting bigger and bigger. I think the game against Suwon's come up in a couple of weeks' time. What was a Goyang goal?
Good chance there for Goyang.
Yep.
I think the Jeonbuk Suwon game comes up maybe like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks' time, I think. You can imagine if Jeonbuk win that one, you could be sitting like 8 points clear at that point.
Yeah, they're starting to just pull away, aren't they? And so Ulsan have slipped up a bit, haven't they? They haven't really managed to keep up the pace that they looked like they were. I mean,
they
started.
They drew with Suwon, and then they drew again
with Incheon.
With Incheon the weekend, so that's 2 draws in 2 games.
So we said last week that Ulsan's bubble had kind of popped, and I think they proved that over the 2 games in between. They got got 2 points out of a possible 6.
But I mean, at home against Suwon, away against Incheon, you'd be looking at 4 points, from that at least, not only 2.
Certainly, if you want to be title contenders, you've got to take 4 points out of those games.
And like, they're kind of looking pretty one-dimensional as well. They haven't really been firing on all cylinders the last couple of weeks either.
Yeah.
Do you think some of that's because Wookie's back? Because he wasn't there for the first few games, and it's almost as if they were better without him, because maybe they were using more options, whereas now it's all everything to Wookie.
You have to assume they're quite one-dimensional when he's playing, right? Just pump everything to him and hope that he'll.
He didn't start the game against Incheon. He was on the bench, I believe, against Incheon. I think a big thing is like Jeparov kind of kick-started his Incheon career with like 2 goals, as we've discussed before, the 2 same goals. And then he's been terrible since then.
Yeah, he's completely gone off the boil.
He hasn't been terrible, but he's been like Songnam-esque. He was like playing Songnam. Kim Tae-wan got his first goal at the weekend, but then Incheon basically threw everything at them, and they equalised in the last few minutes with a free kick.
Yeah. But Incheon are becoming as Incheon always seem to become a tough team to beat. Yeah, I think it's 5 draws or something they've got.
And an even tougher team to support. But anyway,
they're kind of boring their way to respectability slowly but surely.
So a couple of years ago, with their previous manager, who was the ex-national coach, they developed a reputation as draw specialists. They used to draw like 80% of their games. And then last year they had a bit of a purple patch in the first half of the season before having their usual collapse. And now this year they've probably drawn 4 or 5 out of their 7 games. So they're not easy to beat, but they're not easy to lose against either.
Yeah.
It's maybe the Incheon way. The one team that do seem easy to beat these days is Busan. I hadn't really noticed, but they've been slowly but surely working their way down the table.
Yeah, is that
they've lost
3 in a row or 5 in a row?
5 in a row they've lost. They won their first game. They took 4 points out of the first 2. And I think Busan were actually sitting like 3rd or 4th in the league in the second weekend, but they've lost 5 since then, and they're now sitting second bottom.
Yeah, last weekend.
Seoul, which
you're having a bad season if you're sitting below FC Seoul in the league.
Like last weekend, they lost 1-0 to Songnam with the penalty. This on midweek, they took the lead against Jeonbuk before losing 2-1 goals to Lee Dong-guk and then Leonardo. And then at the weekend, again like on Saturday, they lost 2-0 at home to Jeonnam.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they can stop the Raw. Otherwise, it'll be Busan and Daejeon will be the 2 teams that will be fighting out in terms of taking the Raw.
I think so. I think so.
Talking of Jeonnam, last week I said you shouldn't underestimate them.
And apparently we shouldn't have underestimated them, because they lost 4-1 to Pohang during the week.
Was it not 4-0?
No, it was 4-1.
They scored a goal in the last minute.
Late goal.
But they did bounce back against Busan though.
So
with that 2-0 victory against.
You shouldn't underestimate them.
Nope.
Another chance.
Another chance for Goyang. So it looks like maybe Pohang are starting to bounce back now.
I looks that way, yeah. It looks as if maybe 4-1 against Jeonnam, and then 2-0 the weekend. Again, I was against Daejeon, but at the same time, looks like Pohang, 6 goals, 2 games. Maybe they've kind of found their form again.
Yeah, started to find their feet and going back to the form we thought they were going to hit.
Yeah.
Before they had their wee bit of trouble.
I think Guangzhou. I was interested to see that Guangzhou managed to stop losing at the weekend. They had a 1 each on Saturday. In the 4 PM kickoff, they drew 1 each with Songnam. Again, Songnam getting another draw. Guangzhou stopping the rot of 3 defeats in a row. But I think like the big story, apart from what we're going to come on to next, I think that the big story was obviously like Jeonbuk. It looked as if that 6 point gap, 5 point gap is going to be more and more and more.
Starting to look that way, isn't it? I said we always said that they were going to be the champions, and it looks like they're starting to establish themselves as the champions. So I guess the only thing that leaves us in is to talk about the big game at the weekend. I'm not sure if Mark remembers anything of it, so maybe we should go to Paul first.
It was 2-0 at full time, wasn't it?
2-0 to who at full time, Mark?
Busan?
I guess the writing was on the wall when they only managed to beat Daejeon 1-0 midweek. I think in our preview last week we said that if Seoul play as badly as they have been and Suwon play as well as they have been, it could be a complete thrashing, and unfortunately that's what came about. Last year, even though Seoul have been doing generally badly in the league, when it came to the first super match, Trey somehow managed to dig out a victory. Got no idea what he was thinking about in terms of tactics this time around, but...
So what did he do this time around? He left PCY on the bench?
Yes, he left Park Jeong on the bench, brought him on half-time or just after half-time.
Because at half-time it was 1-1, so it looked like you were holding your own. Or was it Che that was holding his own at half-time? Was that the problem?
They were holding their own during the game, to be honest, for most of it.
They were a bit under the cosh in the first half, but they clawed it back to 1-1. I guess Seoul are typically very weak in the first half anyway. I mean, among the Diablos, we've always made a joke that you don't really need to come for the first half because it's always going to be like 0-0 or nothing's going to happen. You can turn up at half time, you don't miss anything. So I guess we were optimistic that having made it to 1-0 at half time.
I hope there wasn't too many Diablos that turned up at half time at the weekend. That would have been really bad.
There were about 10 Diablos who were there from the start.
I know there was 1 or 2 fans that left at half time.
I think there was one fan
and went for a sleep in the local park.
It was just after half time. 7.5 minutes to be precise.
Let me point out, the person that left just after half time is not actually a Diablo.
That should be pointed out, yes.
It was it the Diablos?
For both those sakes.
He's only a Diablo at Suwon away games.
Was it the Diablos that were throwing missiles onto the field at full time?
I can neither confirm or deny that. I didn't see anything directly. So,
okay. So enough nonsense then. Tell us, so the second half, what went wrong?
They came out.
Everything.
They came out of the tunnel.
Did anything go right?
Yeah.
I think Jung
the
Tae
referee blew his whistle for 90 minutes.
Jung Tae-se's second goal went right, I believe.
Kim Young-dae went left.
Kim Young-dae went left, yeah.
What?
The first one definitely went left and he went right.
What actually happened is that the Halloween cardboard masks of like Addy and Chowdhury that they've been producing in recent years, they brought those out and they brought the Seoul Martyrs players out and just put masks on them. It was that bad. I mean, I have seen Seoul ship 5 goals before, but that was an away game at Pohang after they already won the league, and they put the second stream out.
I mean, I don't remember any results like that in super matches. Certainly recently, has there ever been is that the worst result Seoul have had against Suwon?
Possibly the worst result. I remember when Seoul put 4 past Suwon, which was what, 2010, and at that time Suwon were in absolute shambles, and hopefully in a couple of years we'll be looking back on this result they'll be looking back on this result in the same way that we look back on that result with fond memories of the time that
the good old days.
Suwon were an absolute shower of shit and we beat them easily.
So obviously you're part of the Seoul fan groups. What was the reaction amongst the Korean supporters? Are they still fully behind Che and think he's doing a great job and everyone's lovely?
I mean, I'm sure you probably know from my comments here, there and everywhere that I've been against Che for practically the last 3 years. It's been an uphill battle for me to convince other guys to join me in having an anti-Che protest, but I think with that result of the weekend the tide's finally turned, and now it's not a case of if, it's a case of when the fans will officially turn against him. So I've been involved in discussions where I'm saying, like, we've got to do something about this, and the upshot is that they're going to see what happens in the first 20 or first half against Guangzhou tomorrow, and then if it goes...
Oh, Daegu have just scored a cracking free kick.
Daegu have just
scored.
scored.
Jonathan.
Who scored?
I think it was Jonathan that smacked what was it, maybe 20-25 yard free kick?
Pretty amazing. The ball went right through the wall. To be honest, it did go straight through the wall. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It wasn't kind of top draw, top corner stuff, but...
So as I was saying, I think Seoul fans are going to see what happens in the first half tomorrow, but if they get thrashed by Guangzhou tomorrow, there'll be some protests against Che, against the board. If they win handsomely tomorrow, I think they'll just prolong the inevitable, because I think Che's flaws are obvious. One good win is not going to change his overall luck. So yeah, I think basically the Seoul fans are basically against Che nowadays.
Okay, so what's your game at the weekend then? What's coming up for you?
We've got the away game to Mokpo to play against, unfortunately not Mokpo City Hall. We're actually going to play a decent team in Gwangju, but yeah, it's a long trip down to Mokpo.
Okay, so you're
going, Paul?
going to see what happens tomorrow, but I got nothing specific planned for Sunday, so I probably will go. You guys are welcome to join me. It's going to be like a...
I think you're okay on that one.
I think Sunday, I think I'm going to go to Sue.
I think I'm washing my hair that day.
Sue what? No, I said there. No, I'm not going to Sue whenever again. Sunday I'm going to go to Songnam.
I think they put your
Saturday,
picture on the ticket office at Suwon saying, do not sell this guy a ticket.
It's actually, I think it's actually in Suwon Station.
So Mark, do you agree with Paul's analysis of the game? I know you were very, very in depth, particularly in the second half.
Yes, I agree with Paul. I think so much. What can I say? I left at the Suwon's third goal. To be honest, I had to be reminded it wasn't their fifth goal at that point. But anyway, yeah, it was terrible.
I must say that Mark was keen to leave at half time, thinking it was actually full time.
I wish I had left at half time.
I bet in retrospect everyone wishes it had been full time.
Yeah. I mean, I think
the only difference is that Mark thought it was 2-0 to Suwon at that point, whereas everyone else knew it was a 1-0.
I think it was one of those days where you kind of wake up in the morning, you know, like lying on the sofa thinking I probably shouldn't go to football today.
So a good weekend was had by all, particularly the 26,000.
Yeah.
26,000. Are we believing that number?
If there was 26,000 fans there, I was sober. I think that's all I have to say about that.
I can only assume they got Mark to count the fans there, and he was only saying 2 or 3 for each one that was actually there.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
There's no way there was 26,000 people.
Although it's quite possible that they counted Mark 6,000 times.
I think I did leave it. I went in and out several times, so I think maybe my ticket was scanned once or twice.
I mean, in previous years they've always said that Suwon versus Seoul was fully sold out, and I've always commented, well, there's loads of spaces around the top, and they've always said, well, that's because everyone crowds into the bottom of the north stand. But I can't see how there was 26,000 people there, to be honest. No way.
Not at all.
I mean, I've been at Suwon games where there's been more people in the north stand than there have been seats. It doesn't seem like they stopped selling tickets just because there's nowhere for you to sit.
But
and sometimes there can easily be
people are crowded in the aisles. It's not like 5,000 people in the aisles in the north
No,
stand.
but I mean, it could probably be 1,000 or something that just milling around in the kind of spare areas at Suwon, but yeah, certainly not 5,000.
I mean, like, if the top tier is closed, that means that there's literally about maybe like 21,000 there, yeah? Which would mean you'd have to put another 5,000 bodies in N. Never mind the fact that the actual section next to the Seoul fans wasn't full either, like where the Suwon fans were sitting.
The west stand was quite empty.
So you're talking about...
There was loads of space in the south stand.
Yeah, so that would mean that you need to actually have something like 14,000 people in N, basically, like, and a stand that holds 5 or 7. There's no way.
So we're not buying that number, but well, I guess we've got to congratulate Suwon on a good victory. Guys, you've got to congratulate Suwon on a good victory.
No, I don't.
No, I don't think we
and there
have
we
to,
go. I guess we'll leave the K-League Classic roundup right
I
there.
think so, yeah. Before someone swears.
And then it must be on to the proper league. The K-League Challenge.
The Seoul Elan League. That was brilliant. Well done.
That was very Seoul-esque.
Oh my God. Can someone explain what just happened there?
I don't know if I could explain what just happened there.
As I said, that was very Seoul play, right? At the weekend, there were two clear, complete cock-ups by Seoul. One where Goyang received the ball, and he went to kick it on, and he actually kicked out for a throw-in. Second, where someone on the presumably Unilock on the left tried to flick it on as in a 1-2, and he just headed it out for a throw-in. And the play from the Goyang player was pretty much the same. Where, yeah.
But certainly wasn't good.
Oh! Goyang should have scored there.
Was that an own goal almost? It looked like it was the Daegu defender that headed it.
I think it was a Goyang player got it.
Was it? Okay.
I'm not idea who it was, but I think so, yeah.
So presumably you've got to wait 10 minutes to review this game because it's not finished yet. But what happened in the challenge this week, apart from that, Stevie?
Well, I guess the big news is Sangju continued their march to the title until they got to Bucheon.
Yeah, and
then they lost. I don't know how the hell they did it, but they lost 3-1 at Bucheon.
Did everyone's famous blonde-haired superstar score?
Well, he was certainly himself and Rodrigo Parana, as you like to call him. were bigging it up on Facebook after the match and taunting bring on the Eland. So
I imagine something happened, yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. I think it was between the two of them. I think the two of them managed to do most of the damage in terms of assists and goals.
So Almir got man of the match, right?
Almir was man of the match in that game, yeah.
Pirana got the goals.
Yeah.
Pirana was deadly.
So I don't think Almir actually scored any goals, but I think he got man of the match. I think he knocked in a few. Oh, 2-0! 2-0 to Daegu!
What a goal!
That's not. Who's that?
That might have been Jonathan or not.
No, it wasn't Jonathan, it was number 17.
No Byung-jun.
Okay, he was the guy that scored against Eland as well.
Oh, a brilliant goal.
He was a big deal a couple of years ago, right, when he was playing for Pohang.
He was at Pohang, yeah, ex-Pohang guy, but he seems to have dropped down a bit.
Maybe it's time for him to step back up again.
Well,
play for Seoul.
Unfortunately, you've signed Park Chu-young. So I guess the weekend, the big shock was Bucheon beating Sangju. I guess the not very big shock was that Eland didn't win again. So
you guys
another
drew
draw.
again, yeah?
There was 2 games. In the 2 games there was 9 goals, and Eland didn't manage to win. So it was 3-2 down at Sangju, and it was 2 each against the police.
Hey, how about both those games? Like, you got to the police game, I believe, yeah?
I went to the police game. I watched the Sangju game on the internet. The Sangju game was another classic of a mysterious red card. It was. I think
is that the one for Martin Rennie?
Well, it actually came about from that. There was a corner kick that came in, and then I think it was Shinil Su seemed to just stand still in the 6-yard box and got a red card for it. And then Martin Rennie apparently lost the plot slightly at that particular refereeing decision, and he was sent to the stand. So I saw Martin was up in the roof of the Ansan Wak. He must be kind of at the end of his rope in terms of refereeing decisions, because he's seen EJ An get sent off for nothing in the Daegu game. He saw Shinil Su get sent off for nothing against Sangju. At the weekend there we gave away a penalty, a very incredibly soft penalty again at the weekend that didn't look like there was anything in it. So I mean, if I was a Celtic fan, I'd be starting to get paranoid at this point. That's the one interesting thing, I guess, was Martin Rennie sent off because of what he said to the referee, or because of what Kevin translated to the referee? Maybe it was just lost. It was one of those classic miscommunications.
What do you think Martin said then?
I don't know, but that sounds like another one that we can throw out to Twitter and get no responses. So it's at K-League_podcast, or it's 48shadesoffootball@gmail.com. What did Kevin say to the referee on Martin Rennie's behalf? The bad news for Martin Rennie is we seem to have scored a lot more goals since he's been in the stand, so I don't know if maybe Kevin's doing the job there and we should leave him to manage the team.
He becomes the better manager there, yeah?
You got a technical point here. When Martin Rennie gets sent to the stands, does Kevin follow him up to the stands?
Well, he was at Ansan, Kevin. I noticed Kevin was up there next to him. I don't know who he was translating to, but I'd have thought the clever move would have been to leave Kevin in the technical area and set him up with a headpiece. So other than that, I guess the stories in the challenge, well, Suwon have gone top.
They got a win against
the other Suwon, that is.
Yeah, they got a win against somebody at the weekend.
Well, they got 2 wins in the 2 games, yeah, and Suwon are top of the league. Goyang, we're waiting here to see if Goyang can win this, but I'm guessing not. 2-0 down with 2 minutes left. I'm guessing Goyang are not going to go top of the league tonight. So, well, the other story from the challenge is, since we last spoke to you, Cheongju have gone unbeaten. 2 games, 2 draws. They still haven't scored a goal, but still, Cheongju have managed 180 minutes of football and they've not been beaten.
That is pretty ambitious of them.
They're being very ambitious.
Maybe their slogan is working for them, yeah?
So other than that, I guess that probably sums up everything that's happening in the challenge. I don't think there's too many stories. Maybe the only other thing is Anyang seem to have gone a bit
off the boil.
Yeah. They started really, really well, but I mean they drew at Cheongju at the weekend. So I don't know if it's the topless shots of the players are getting in the way of actually training or what it is, but
you wonder, yeah. I mean, like all those photoshopped 6-packs and stuff like that.
Well, I know they've got a ladies' day coming up at the weekend. I don't know if that's means they're actually going to field the women's team instead.
Is it on Saturday?
Sunday they've got the ladies' day. But yeah, it's not looking so good for Anyang. We thought they were going to be a challenger this season, but
it looks as if not so much.
Looks as if not so much. So I guess we still have to see. It's still very close. I mean, even if you look at the goal difference, it's all +1, -1, +2, -2.
It's pretty close.
There's nobody that's really established himself as a clear leader apart from probably Sangju. But then again, they've thrown it away at Bucheon, so it's all back in the mix again. So I guess that wraps up the review, and then it'll be on to looking at this weekend's games, which will bring you, I guess, shortly after full time here. The game's just about to wrap up. So, Paul, what do you make of the game that you've watched here?
Goyang started brightly, and then you interviewed me for a while, so I didn't watch any of it.
And then you turned around and it was 2-0.
Yeah, the turnaround it was 2-0. I mean, this is my second challenge game this year, and
It's 2 more than normal, wasn't it?
yeah, I went to one game for the whole of last season, which was Ansan against Anyang.
It'll be good preparation for next season, I guess.
Seoul will not get relegated. I've said 100 times already they're going to win the league this season. It's ordained.
I'm looking forward to when Che gets sacked and you bring in Mark McGee.
They'll bring back Anik Su when Che gets sacked. You heard it here first. Anik Su for the Seoul job.
3-0. Oh!
He's missed it.
That looks so close to 3-0, but it's not.
But it's not.
Mark, what have you made of the game?
Well, first half was.
Is it better than Saturday's?
Well, I remember full time this one. First half was pretty weak, pretty poor actually, to be honest, pretty boring. Second half, Daegu definitely deserved their 3 points. Free kick was pretty good, all straight through the wall. Second goal was brilliant. So yeah, Daegu deserved victors. Goyang.
At least the Daegu keeper looks happy. Nobody else does, but the Daegu keeper looks very happy.
Like the Daegu strikers are like slumping back to the halfway line. But yeah, they did well.
And then the next home game is the big 4th round FA Cup tie. Goyang Hi FC versus Chunbuk Hyundai. Do you fancy Goyang to pull a shock out there?
I fancy Goyang to not pull a shock out there, no.
What do you think, Paul? Goyang to knock Chunbuk out of the cup?
I think it's more likely that the Kyungju Isotopes will knock Seoul out.
That is quite likely though. I mean, that is quite likely.
Well, they've been on fire this season. I think they've played 5 and won 5.
I mean, it's based on.
That's the team that put Sangju out of the cup as well. So.
Yeah.
But based on recent history, you'd have to fancy Seoul to win on penalties.
So before we move on to the preview then of the weekend, I guess, is there any other news this week we should talk about? Maybe the FA Cup draw, and there was the
4th round draw, yeah.
The World Cup qualifiers or the Asian Cup qualifiers, whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
So we should do that as well. So what about the FA Cup then? Was any big games come out of that one?
Well, I guess the biggest game is probably yourself, is it not, Stevie?
Well, I know we got a potential cup run killing Ulsan away. I thought they were easing us in gently. It's like, give us a couple of university sides at least till we get a.
So I think like the only tournament you've actually won in your history, in any pool, Ulsan, yeah. Although Ulsan have been pretty poor recently, so maybe you never know. Maybe you'll get a draw and then get to extra time and penalties, or whatever happens in the Korean Cup format, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if we get to penalties, Kim Young Kwan can pull out something special. But
hope so.
I'm not holding out great hopes of seeing us in the draw for the next round.
I don't think so.
What about Songnam?
Songnam got, I think they got Busan Transport, I think that's who they actually got. It was Busan something anyway. I'm not really quite sure, but it's not that great.
It's Busan but not the Icons.
It's not the Icons.
The other Busan team.
So they're in Busan, it's an away game. It's a little bit reminiscent of last year, where Songnam got university teams all the way to the semi-final until they met Jeonbuk. They got like really low teams, so I guess maybe someone's feeling sorry for them again this year, I think.
So after the game, when you've come back and you've lost 4-0 to Busan Transport, you'll be saying that they were a better team than I thought.
Probably, yeah.
And what about our good friends down at Sangam?
Well, Sangam, they got the power plant, I think, like the isotopes.
The Gyeongju hydro nuclear
power plant.
They were the team that knocked Sangju out in the last round.
Yeah.
So they're actually maybe better than
Seoul.
Well, they're probably yes.
So
they're probably better than a few teams that have beat Seoul this season.
So that might be why.
Gyeongju HNP, do you fancy your chances?
I've watched some pretty poor FA Cup ties in the past few years where Seoul have struggled to beat what you might term as a Diddy team, including Changwon City Hall, Yonsei University, Mokpo City Hall. So a couple of those have gone to penalties.
So you're going out then?
So I wouldn't put it past us, to be honest. I mean, Seoul have pretty much been shooting blanks for the last few months. I've not really paid much attention to how Gyeongju hydro nuclear power.
Gyeongju have won every game they've played this season. I think they're 5 for 5 in the National League, and they put Sangju out of the FA Cup in the last round. So they're not. I don't know if they've got a few ringers in at the Isotopes. They'll get Messi suddenly a nuclear engineer down in Daejeon somewhere.
They've obviously not followed the Springfield path of picking 11 Homer Simpsons then.
No, apparently not. Who have Daejeon got? Are they still in the competition? I know that the K-League Classic teams haven't played a game yet, but are Daejeon still in it?
I think they have like a -5.
Do they start with a handicap?
I think so, yeah.
So Mark, Daejeon.
Daejeon managed to pull Gwangju, which after everything that's happened this season, like in the last game and stuff, and how they've went so far, that looks as if Daejeon's cup run could end before it even begins, yeah. Also, the other big.
I guess Jeonbuk are up here, aren't they, at Goyang?
Yeah,
so
they're up here.
that should be an easy away win for them, I guess.
You think so? Like the other big kind of K-League Classic tie together was Suwon v Jeonnam Dragons. They were tied together. That's a home for Suwon.
Suwon? Yeah. Okay, so
you'd have to imagine that'll be about 6 or 7-1 probably.
Well, Jeonnam are probably a better side than Seoul, so it'll not be.
You never know.
Might be 2-1 or 3-1.
The other interesting game I found was Daegu versus Pohang. I didn't find it interesting until Daegu won 2-0 tonight, but now I find it interesting. So I think that could be a tougher game for Pohang than they first thought maybe. Other than that, we have like maybe Bucheon and Incheon. Could be a bit of a feisty, fiery one. I'm sure there's be some.
There'll be more action off the pitch than on the pitch at that one.
I would imagine. So, yeah. If there's any fans there, that is. And Jeju Anyang making up the last kind of interesting game.
And I think the other thing is there's a couple of uni teams got each other. I think there was a couple of non-K-League teams pulled up each other. So there's still going to be a few potential small fry in the next round. So that's pretty good. It's good to see these guys get a bit of a run in the cup.
Yeah.
It's more interesting to see some of these guys, get pulled up against whatever opposition than.
I always think it's good when the cup's not seeded, right? So you've got in this round we've got a couple of K-League teams playing each other.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of theoretically non-league teams playing each other. So we've got a good mix of highs and.
It's a good way to do it. Although you could probably just put all the teams in the hat from the start.
Yeah,
would make it a lot more interesting from the first round. From the first round, put FC Seoul in there with Hynix Electronics FC
or Jeonnam Mustang Cheetahs or whatever they were called. My favourite ones from
Jeonnam Chorus Mustang.
Yeah, my favourite ones who apparently.
I think they're still in the cup.
I think they may have just lost. Actually, I'll have to check that one out. But I mean, a couple of good games. Obviously, Suwon and Jeonnam being one of the biggest. Daejeon Gwangju being the second biggest probably. Yeah.
And we'll do a proper preview as our red button content the day before the matches actually happen.
The games are on the 29th of April, so it's a midweek, which is a bit of a pain for actually getting to the games, especially if you're away in Ulsan. But
I guess the only game I'll get to will probably. I guess.
I doubt you'll be allowed to go to any games by the time the 29th of April comes round. You'll be banned from every stadium in the land.
Hopefully I'll get to go to Incheon Bucheon.
So that's the FA Cup. I guess the other thing that happened this week is
the World Cup.
World Cup qualifier. So Korea got
joint World Cup Asian AFC Cup.
Yeah, same time. Yeah, but it's quite strange. So they play each other, and then whoever tops that group gets into both tournaments. Is that what's happening?
I guess the top one or top two will go through to the Asian Cup automatically, and the top one will go through to the next round of the World Cup qualifying. I guess.
That's quite interesting then, yeah?
It's a bizarre system the way they've done it.
There'll definitely be another round for World Cup qualifying.
I think it's the guys who finish top
plus
go through to the next round of World Cup qualifying and go to the Asian Cup. The guys who finish second go into a playoff to get into the Asian Cup, I think. So Paul, you seem to know who we've actually drawn. So who have we drawn?
I mean, in previous weeks we talked about the potential glamour of drawing Bhutan or East Timor. And in reality, we actually got the same old crap they always get in terms of Lebanon, Kuwait, Laos and Myanmar, so nothing particularly exciting.
Do we always get Myanmar?
We've had them before in the Asian Cup.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, not a very interesting group. No, not the greatest group, I guess.
I guess the only question
could have been worse, a lot worse.
You know, for the games at Laos and the games at Myanmar, is Stilica actually going to pick some K-League players? Because surely all the guys in Europe are going to mysteriously come down with
tendinitis.
Well, you know, broken head or whatever it is that you can get out of games with. So, round up the World Cup qualifiers. Korea to win every single game?
No, they won't win every single game, but they should qualify relatively easily.
Who are they going to lose to then, Paul?
Lebanon away.
They won't lose, but they'll. If they're going to lose, they're going to lose Kuwait away. But they'll probably draw away in Lebanon and Kuwait, and they might chuck away a point away at Laos or Myanmar.
But they'll still top the group, you think? Should do.
They bloody ought to.
They've got to, haven't they? If they don't top the group, I think Stilica will be looking for another job. Okay, so I guess that only leaves us with the coming weekend of magical fixtures across the K-League. What's going on?
Where are Eland this week?
Eland are at home to Bucheon, which would have probably been a guaranteed definite first win if they hadn't just put 3 past Sangju and make you think, oh dear.
So I assume you're going to be going there and cheering on our podcast favourite Almere?
Absolutely, I'll be cheering at Almere.
Is that cheering or jeering?
I'll be giving Almere whatever happens to occur to me.
You're giving Almere a piece of your mind?
Yes. If he scores a couple of own goals, I'll be cheering him. So, well, are we doing the challenge first then? Is it challenge first?
First.
So, well, it's Bucheon coming up to Seoul. So that'll be 25-0 to Seoul, surely. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Probably.
Elsewhere, so I guess in terms of the title then, the interesting game will be Sangju Suwon. So that's top of the league versus the potential champions.
Yeah, we also have, I guess another big one is the Anyang Gyeongnam, which is probably not that big anymore because they're both kind of like hemorrhaging goals these days.
I think the only thing to mention is it is the Anyang Ladies' Day. So if you happen to be a lady and you happen to like Anyang, this would be the day to go down and support them. So other than that, in the challenge, I guess there's not that many interesting games. So I guess we'll just move on to the classic. Who are Seoul losing to this weekend?
They will be travelling to Mokpo to play the mighty Gwangju.
So is that 5-1, 4-1, 3-1?
Well, I mean, Gwangju are still on their downward trend after having burst their bubble.
Big one is the Jolla Derby, I guess. Jeonnam are at home to Jeonbuk. If we're going to call it a Jolla Derby, personally I don't.
Despite the fact that Jeonbuk are undefeated in the last 23 games that we decided, I'm still going to say do not underestimate Jeonnam at home. This will be the game that Jeonnam win, Jeonbuk finally get defeated.
Obviously the first game up, I think on Saturday, is Incheon against Pohang. It's a 3 PM kickoff.
That should be a draw, judging by Incheon's every game.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Based on Seoul, Ulsan, Jeonbuk all drawing away at Incheon, you'd have to assume that Pohang are doing the same.
Yep.
So, away win then.
I was actually there at the kind of corresponding fixture last year. I was there at Korea Racing and we watched Incheon win 2-1. So because of that, and solely because of that fact, I'm going to say Incheon will win 2-1.
A bold prediction.
Also on Saturday, I think the only other game on Saturday, I think is Ulsan Busan. I think that's a no-brainer. Busan are
should be an
losing
Ulsan
it. Yeah, left, right, and
Busan
centre.
lost 5 in a row. Ulsan are pretty good at home, so yeah.
Although they have drawn a couple, but you still imagine Ulsan have enough for too much for Busan, I think. Yeah.
I think Jeparov's going to be watching the videos and remember how to score that goal that he scores.
Yeah, I guess that same one. Yeah.
Same goal.
He's on YouTube and he's like, so what? I kick it towards that rectangle thing.
The ball comes to me and I look up. Oh no, I don't look up.
That's
what's wrong. I just kick it with my head down.
His training this week is, can you kick it? Yes, you can.
No, he can't. On Sunday, the game I will hopefully be attending is Songnam Jeju. That will probably finish nothing each.
That's a good bet for any Songnam game, really, isn't it? Just nothing each.
Especially against Jeju. Jeju are like the most boring team in the league. Songnam are the second most boring team in the league. I think put those two together and it'll be nothing each, although that means it'll now be like 5-4 or something like that.
Last time we predicted a 0-0 draw like that, it turned out to be a goal fest with what's his face scoring a hat-trick, right?
Kim Ji-hyun, yeah, when I predicted it was going to be nothing each with Daejeon, yeah?
Yeah.
And it was 4-1. Hopefully it'll be the same score. Hopefully Sunderland can get some points on the board again, but I doubt it very much. And the final game, I guess, to look at is Suwon.
Suwon should win.
Still makes me shiver.
Who are they playing?
Suwon they're playing Daejeon.
Oh!
Well, hopefully Sue won't. That's all I can say on that.
Well, hopefully we'll be talking about this as being a Daejeon 17-0 victory and Suwon losing.
The thing that I said was Jeju beat Daejeon by how many? Was it 5-1?
5-1. 5-0.
5-0 or 5-1, and then Seoul beat Jeju
1-0.
1-0, and then Suwon beat Seoul 5-1. So that should make it what 12-1 or something to Suwon.
Yeah. I mean, Suwon at home against Daejeon. I mean, seriously, if you want to go somewhere and watch like someone get flayed like a chicken, I guess it's probably there. Yeah. I mean, that's should finish like 6-7-0.
So the fact that it should finish 6 or 7-0, given it's the K-League, probably means it'll be 0-0.
I would hope so.
Or Daejeon will sneak it 1-0, just to put that cat amongst the chickens, or whatever the correct analogy is.
Yeah, I think you were right, the first one. Cat amongst the chickens, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, the only prediction for that game I would definitely give is, like, I will not be allowed entry into any end at Suwon if I do go, which I won't anyway, but yeah.
I think you're not allowed in Suwon until 2017.
Suwon City.
Yes.
Not just the stadium.
Or any bus that goes
you.
through Suwon.
Lucky you, that's all I can
But no, you have to say Suwon, I reckon 4-0. Just to be nice.
Suwon should win it. Daejeon have kind of recently they've gained a bit of respectability, so it might just be 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that. But you never know.
There'll be a couple of goals in it, definitely.
Well, no, I think before we go, we've got to get some input from our cheerleader for the night at Korea Racing. What have you made of the whole live podcasting experience?
You're a bunch of basically.
God! And that's not being cut!
That's the one we're keeping in. So unless Paul's pulled something amazing out the bag in the editing booth, I'm guessing that you're going to notice a sudden cut in this one and a sudden note of sobriety in my voice, which might give away the game that this last bit is not being recorded live at the Goyang Stadium, and Daegu are not beating Goyang as we watch. Anyway, to close out the show, I guess the only last thing to say is please get in touch with us. It's 48shadesoffootball@gmail.com, or it's at @KLeague_podcast. And I think Paul's going to give us a little selection of music to play us out, which, depending on your point of view, will either be for FC Seoul and Mr. Che, or it will be for the Suwon supporters. So here we go. See you next week.
Look inside your tiny mind, and look a bit harder. 'Cause we're so uninspired, so sick and tired of all the hatred you harbor.